Hello, this is Pat Cummings again. Welcome to Tips for Assessment Directors. One of the nice things about working in my district is the assessment directors before me were so organized. And on all printed materials, you could find a path that would tell you where the file was located on the network or hard drive. This can be done in a uniform fashion by using a macro. So let me show you how to do this. Let's start by opening Excel. And let me show you an example of what I mean by this. I'm going to open a file and I'll go to Print Preview. Here we can see in the upper left corner Tacoma Public Schools. Over to the right here, Department of Research and Evaluation. If we go down, in the bottom it tells me where this is located on the network, the name of the file, and even the sheet, the name of the sheet. So let's show you how to do this. First of all, we'll open a new file, a blank workbook. And we're going to record a macro in this workbook that will add the header, footer, various information, layout features. And we're going to save this as a macro. So I'll just use this as a test. And if I, just to show you, if I go to Preview, we see test, but we don't see the features at the top that let me know what the file is named or which department the file came from. So let's start by recording a macro. Go to Tools, Macro, and record a new macro. In this case, we're going to call this macro header 1. And the short key cut will be Control, let's say M for macro. So when we press Control M, it will reactivate this or run this macro. We have the choice of storing the macro in a workbook or in a file that is only for this particular workbook. Well, I want this universal. I want this every time I open up Excel, I'm going to be able to access this, so I will put it in my personal macro workbook. Now we can see the little macro recorder down here at the bottom, and it's going to record every single stroke that I make. So I'm going to start by opening up View, Header, Footer. In the custom header, I'll put Tacoma Public Schools. And over here on the right side, I'll put Department of Research and Evaluation. Now, I will take the font size for these headers and make them a little bit smaller because I don't want them to be intrusive when I'm looking at my document. So I'm going to take both these fonts and bring them down to size 8 as opposed to the bigger size. Now in the footer, in the left section, I'll add a path of where this file will be located. So this icon here is the folder is the path. Tells me the path and the file name. I'll put a / and I'll even put the sheet name for this particular file. Click OK, OK. Now that I'm done with this, I will stop my macro. Let's close out of Excel, and it's going to ask me a couple of questions here. When I close out of this Excel file, it's going to say, do you want to save the changes to this book 2, which is the test book? In this case, I don't. I just use this to record my macro. No, I do not. Do you want to save the changes to the personal macro workbook? In this case, yes, I do. I'd like to save those changes because that is where the macro is housed that I'm going to use in the future. So I'll put yes. All right, let's start Excel again. And let's see if our macro works. Demonstration. Let's look at the file here, and I can see there's no header or footer located. I'll close it. Now, to make the macro work, all I have to do is press the Control-M key, which I just did. The macro is now adding the header and the footer as we had done before. There we go. We can see now that the header, the path name, tells me where the file is located and how it is named and so forth. If you have trouble remembering what your macros are in the short key, you can always go to the macro file and it'll show you all the files that are located in here. In the features you can find out where they are, what the shortcuts were for them. But in my case, as I make a macro, I have a little sticky note I put on my computer that tells me what the macro does, and I use that as a way of reminding me of the shortcuts for the macro. So anyway, I hope that was helpful, and we'll see you next time. Bye.